Okay, good morning. My name is Jim Fergal, and welcome to Career Conversations. Today we're going to be talking about job opportunities in high growth fields, which would be information technology. With us today we have Joanne Lim. She's a senior recruiter with Exelon. Barry Salzman, he's the Chief Operating Officer for Acuity. Amit Mehta, President of TechVu. I'm sorry about your last name. And Hussein Abdulaziz will probably be joining us a little later. He had actually gone through our program. Just a little bit about us and we're going to get started. I'm Jim Fergal. I'm the manager of Job Seeker and Veteran Services. Javon Morris and Jennifer Wageman, workshop facilitators, are also on the call, monitoring the chat room and letting people in. We are a job training organization funded by Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. We do have a layoff to launch workshop Tuesdays at 9:30. You can go to our website at worknetdupage.org /launch, and then you can sign up for that. We do have grants up to $10,000. You can still receive unemployment. We do have job search workshops. We do have OJT programs and incumbent workers. We work with employers. And we also have a lot of jobs on our website as well. You know, they've been coming in leaps and bounds. Of course, just if you have any comments, questions, please put them in the chat room to communicate with the panelists and myself or the attendees. If you do have a question, I have a list of questions, and towards the end, we'll try to ask other questions. Start off with either the word question or the question mark, and that'll catch our eye. And please mute all microphones, and then we're going to start this. When you get a job, please let us know. We are funded based on the number of people, this is from Congress, that get jobs. We sent our annual report to Senator Duckworth, and they were talking about Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act and jobs. So it was fortuitous that we came up with our year in review and sent it to her, because she said this is excellent to let us know that programs work. So maintain contact with your counselors if you come on in. Let us know the job, the salary, and things like that. Okay, so let's get in here. I'm just going to show all our faces. So I'm going to go round robin here. First off, Barry, why don't you tell us about you and your company?
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jim, for putting this together. My name is Barry Salzman. I am the Chief Operating Officer of a company called Acuity. The business is located in Lombard. Acuity is an IT services business. We provide managed services, cybersecurity services, and IT solutions for small to medium-sized businesses in the Chicagoland area. I've been, in this role for about 5 years. My background is almost 35 years of professional work in the IT and professional services industry. Love building teams, love growing businesses, and just love the challenge of trying to, identify and hire the right people to, fit the needs of the business. We've been hiring people nonstop for the last 2-3 years, and these programs have been incredibly valuable. Bringing in people with diverse skills and backgrounds to help us improve our overall business. So, I've been doing this for a long time, and just, every day I wake up and just look forward to the challenge that faces us each and every day in this wonderful technology industry. So thanks again, Jim, for putting this together and inviting me to participate.
Thank you, Barry. Joanne, tell us about you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me as well, Jim. My name is Joanne Lim. Hello, everyone. I work as a senior recruiter at Exelon. We are an energy company, energy generation and utility. We have about 34,000 employees. Our utilities, we have 6 utilities, and it includes ComEd over in Chicagoland and 5 others over in the East, in Washington, D.C., Maryland, where I'm located, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. And our teams are located across the country, so not just in one place. Just the intro for now, right? Am I correct, Jim?
Well, how long have you been doing this recruiting for?
I've been in recruiting for about 22 years. It's my 5th year with Exelon. Love it here. Very diverse, very inclusive. And we have very good, benefits, including like $10K per calendar year for tuition reimbursement, bachelor's degree level, and $15K at a master's level, grad level.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
Joanne. Amit, how about you?
Hi, I'm Amit Mehta at TechVu, president there. We started in 2007, and our core focus is similar in some ways to Barry's, managed services, the sort of outsourced IT for companies, but we also do a lot of wiring work. So we cover mostly Illinois, but our guys will go fly out to like Connecticut and Georgia and California, wherever. But with structured wiring, and we've had a lot of good success with WorkNet in terms of on-the-job training as well as incumbent worker training. So excited to be on the panel today. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you. So, Amit, do you have any current openings, and what trends do you see right now in your industry or with your company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose my answer is generally always hiring.
Yeah.
And that's probably a philosophy of a lot of small businesses. Yes, we certainly have seen a lot of benefit in the cloud services area. So for example, Microsoft 365 has become a very common platform for a lot of companies. And so people certified in anything, in Microsoft 100, 101, 500, any of those things is very useful. Also virtualization. So I've seen a good trend in people getting certified in Azure or AWS. And even if not cloud, services that will entail Hyper-V or local ESXi, like VMware certification. But the general trend, just from a non-technical perspective, is people are getting rid of stuff in their office and putting it in someone else's place, which is a data center, and all the things that go with it. So prepping for it, training people, the remote workforce, getting people comfortable with security, VPNs, and logging in from Starbucks and whatever it is. So yeah, in those realms, anyone that's not even necessarily certified, but anyone that's interested in those realms and really has a knack to learn and wants to learn that is where we're seeing a lot of opportunity, at least for our company. Not as much programmers as it was typically. There's lots of programming jobs out there, but just for our company, less programmers and more of the transitionary cloud-based and infrastructure people like networking. So when we do wiring work, for example, that usually will come with some switch configuration, firewall configuration, access point networks, things like that. So I think that's where a lot of opportunity is out there now.
Okay, thank you. Joanne, what's happened with Exelon? What do you see as openings coming up and trends?
Sure, thank you. So our open positions at Exelon, they're quite varied, not just in IT, from customer service through business analysis and financial planning, IT, electrical engineering, telecommunications, all sorts. And so I would just recommend going into the careers website, jobs.exeloncorp.com, to read descriptions, titles and descriptions on, what feels, what feels like a match and what feels good for you. But yeah, all of a huge variety.
Okay.
And I can, to talk about it in detail a bit later.
All righty, great. And Barry, what's going on with Acuity?
Yeah, so open position. So we've got 3 different divisions where we hire labor for. The first is what we call the service desk, which is a traditional, think of it as a help desk. We're always looking for people for the help desk. We've got 3 different tiers on the help desk. We call it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. We've had the most success hiring folks at the tier 1 level coming from, other industries, newly certified folks. So a lot of the people that are probably listening in on this webinar, you might have 10, 15, 20 years of great experience doing something else. We've had a lot of success converting those people to tier 1 help desk. And then from there, they get to grow. The second area is we're always looking for, similar to Amit, is we're looking for high-level technical folks, virtualization, networking, infrastructure, storage, cloud, disaster recovery. Our higher level engineers are the ones that are responsible for designing and implementing the more sophisticated solutions. Typically 7, 8 years of experience as a minimum. And the third area is the cybersecurity practice. So we're always looking for folks to learn more about, cybersecurity. In addition to those 3, we're actively looking now for, we call it client engagement, and it's really account management. We're looking for professionals that can manage relationships with customers and help them build out their technology strategies for the future. So those are the positions that we're looking to fill. In terms of trends, cloud, obviously, and, infrastructure. But the other big trend I'm seeing right now is it's kind of customer success, right? It seems like customer service is now morphed into customer success. We're looking for people that know how to service customers. They know how to listen, they know how to understand customers' needs, and they know how to become an advocate for the customer within our organization. So we're always hiring, we're always looking for good talent, and just excited to see new candidates come in the door.
Okay, great. Well, it's good to know because, with the pandemic and everything going on, people think there's no jobs, and transitioning into IT for those of us could be difficult, but I'm going to cover that in a little bit. I'd like to go into some of these trends you may or may not be involved with, but I see a lot of artificial intelligence, AR, IR, augmented reality, things like that, or robotics. Joanne, I'm going to start with you. Are you seeing any of that coming into Exelon? And what type of jobs?
Yes, for sure. Thanks for bringing this up. Just maybe about a month ago, I hired a drone pilot for one of our utilities. And before that, I didn't realize that, flying drones as a hobby could lead to a good job. So yes, we hire drone pilots. We use drones to check on power lines, to capture images, and all these images are transferred into data for data science and analysis, and also drones over windmills, at all sorts of places, and within nuclear plants too. We use virtual reality for training. We use AI, machine learning, robotics for sure in our environments.
Okay, great. So if I become really good at that video game, there's a possibility, right? Okay.
Yes, me too. I'm learning.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, Barry, what do you see?
Yeah, so in terms of the trends, we service small to medium-sized companies. So our target market are unfortunately not companies like Exelon that have all these sophisticated technology needs. The smaller companies are not quite there yet. They're still trying to figure out how to get to the cloud. They're still trying to figure out how to even understand big data and analytics. So what we see in our target market, and again, our target market is typically 25, 30 employees up to, say, 500. That's our market. We see a lot of analytics. Everyone's trying to figure out what to do with all their data. We see a ton in cybersecurity, right? So big and small companies all addressing cybersecurity, but unfortunately, Joanne, we don't have clients that are looking to do drone work. So that'd be fun, but I think in the small business market, they're not quite there yet. But definitely cybersecurity and definitely analytics and big data.
Okay, great. Amit, how about you?
Yeah, so maybe a little bit more of a microcosm there. But about 3 years ago, one of our developers got really into VR and development. So he actually designs VR environments. And sort of as a fun project, you know, we bring in one of our small business construction customers where he does custom home building. And so we were able to model the home and let the person walk through it using, and, you know, change out granite countertops and flooring and colors and sort of see their home before it's built using VR. So not a big part of our business by any means, but certainly something that's fun, and the future is going to be there. You know, I look at VR and AR, as you mentioned, as sort of when the internet went from static images to videos and it became a really big deal, that once hardware, which is catching up very quickly, once hardware and data centers catch up and the bandwidth is there, I think AR and VR will be what videos were for pictures. It'll be the next level. So I see that coming through the pipeline.
Yeah, my cousin was a senior designer for an architectural firm, and they would put together emergency rooms and have the doctors and nurses actually stand there and move around, and they would design it based on their needs.
Wow.
So I think this is a good trend, and then certainly robotics is coming into the market as well. But I believe you're right. Your smaller companies have to are transferring into the cloud, and cybersecurity is pretty good.
Hey, Jim, another big one is, and we don't see it too much in our customer base, but it's going to be huge, is blockchain, right? As blockchain becomes more prevalent. So for the folks that are looking to make career changes and learn new skills, you want to learn things that is new because you won't have a disadvantage. There's not a lot of people in the marketplace that know blockchain. So learning new and emerging technologies will give you a little bit of a catch up versus trying to do routers where people have 20 years of router experience.
Well, thanks for transitioning there, because that was going to be one of my questions is, and we'll start with you, Barry. First, if you could explain blockchain. I've seen it mentioned a lot over probably the last year and a half to 2 years in different articles I read, but I'm still trying to grasp what that is. And what other new technologies do you think people should look at?
Yeah, so again, I'm going to say cybersecurity probably to everything that you say, Jim, because that's hot. And within cybersecurity, there's new products evolving and emerging every moment. So we got to keep our eyes on that. And the big trend that's taking place right now, that's impacting all of us, is because of the pandemic, we've gone virtual, and with virtual work creates interesting challenges for organizations in terms of infrastructure, network, security, all that good stuff. So the movement to the home has created lots of technology challenges for companies big and small. To try to quickly answer the blockchain question, everybody knows what Bitcoin is. Everybody knows about cryptocurrency, but typically it runs on top of a highly secure, decentralized network. So think of blockchain as just the infrastructure that the cryptocurrency runs on top of, as well as other transaction systems. And it'll be interesting to see in 3 to 5 years how blockchain emerges versus more traditional networks. So it's just a very sophisticated infrastructure that's highly secure. And I think it's going to be big time in the next 3 to 5 years. I'm sure Exelon will be there sooner than my customers, but it's definitely trending in the marketplace.
Okay. So Joanne, same question for you. What technologies or trends do you see in the future that Exelon's going to be using? We already heard about drones. What else do you think is coming up, or what do you see that you're starting to recruit for?
Right, sure. And thanks, Barry, for the intro on blockchain. I haven't really heard that being a potential demand, but I'm going to check it out with some managers internally. Thanks for the intro there. So new technologies, besides the AI, AR, drones, etc., don't see anything too new. A lot of hiring managers, as Barry had mentioned, and I mentioned, the cloud technologies and cybersecurity can't go wrong with, either of these two. And the core skills, the basic core skills in IT, can't go wrong with that either. Data analysis, the business intelligence, reports, and anything quantitative. Managers of all departments look for it, and in titles like even in the titles of business analysis or business analyst through quant engineering, all these require good Excel skills.
Okay.
And so the basic Excel, pivots and etc. These would be great skills to get into. SQL, so whatever basic intermediate skills in these would be great. And like Mary mentioned, customer oriented type skills too is important, because we're all moving towards what do customers want, what are the trends, and to understand trends and forecast what's happening in the future 5-10 years down the road. Again, we still go back to data, and because of the data that we looked at, we created like social media departments to support communication with customers. So it's Facebook and social media, Twitter, etc. That our customer service department needs to be very good at to provide support.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And Amit.
So, as Joanne mentioned about connecting with the customer and having that, I guess what I'll call soft skill part of it, it's interesting from my perspective in IT, because a lot of that connection happens at the base level, where the technician is out, or the front end, level 1 or level 2 help desk person is speaking with the end customer, or the main clients, stakeholders. All of those things are not certifications on a resume. Those are the things that are going to come out in past experience, especially when those initial interviews happen, or when you see the types of roles someone had. So I think it's great to see on a resume when there was, even if it was minor as part of their role, but how are they interacting with stakeholders, and how are they either gathering the need or figuring out what the problems are? Because a lot of what we do today, actually, I'd say probably a third of what we do, it was identified by technicians. Like, hey, this customer had this problem, and these are not the obvious things that we sell or do, but we came up with solutions for things that people had problems for, and seeing that in a candidate profile, being able to extract problems and at least even present them to the team is a really big deal.
Okay. Hussein's joining us. And
hey, how you doing?
Good. Because you've been, the panelists have all been talking about using our programs, and I'm going to get into the OJT and some of our training programs in a moment. Hussein did come through our program, and Hussein, how did you hear about us, and how did we help you? WorkNet DuPage.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Hussein. I came through and I started talking to Herman, and Herman, can everybody hear me, right?
Yeah.
And Herman told me about your veteran workshop. So I came to your workshop first. I met a couple of people, and I think I was going to supply first. I met a guy that didn't quite work out. So then he showed me about the IT program. So with the IT program, that's when I met Mary Ann, and we got to the WEO program. And she set everything up, and we got in, and here we are, off and running.
Okay, and what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm doing Network Operations Center. Right now, we're doing the SD-WAN, so more developed cloud device.
Okay. Yeah, just a quick comment here, because I back when we were seeing people, I would run a quarterly workshop for veterans, employment workshop, where I would have employers and service organizations and veterans link up, and then talk a little bit about job search. And if I remember right, Hussein, you had 1 or 2 interviews on the spot there right afterwards. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, I was very involved with it. If one didn't work out, I went to the next one. When it worked out, I went to the next one. And then I'm at the WEO program. Since I found that program for the IT, before that I was a personal trainer, so like 15 years. So I went through the program. It took me 4 months. Got out of school. I got this first job in January. I've been doing a job since January 2020, and then the pandemic hit. So it was like right on time because the gyms closed down. So I went and had a job anyway. So it kind of saved me, man. It was like one of those things that I didn't see coming, but it was right on time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. How about what programs have you used from WorkNet, and how would you suggest guiding us as to future programs or job seekers in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. One of our great success stories was on the job training, meaning that the first 6 months of the candidate that we would otherwise not hire, which may apply to people in the audience today. So I hired someone that was a manager from Toys R Us, if you remember when they did all of those layoffs, and there were smart people that were let go because that industry or that company didn't exist anymore. So I was able to take someone that really loved IT, and that's like that soft part I'm looking for. They have the tenacity, they have the will. But no one was going to hire him in IT. He was a very capable Toys R Us manager, but he did not have the skills or the background maybe that someone would look for here. But on the job training was able to help us by offsetting a part of his salary for some number of months. And meanwhile, we're training him, and I have less risk really in terms of financially in training him. So it gives me latitude to take it a little bit slower, give him more time, get into the mix, and ultimately, so today, this is a couple of years later, maybe almost 3 years later, but he has got a combination of certifications that makes him a Microsoft Office admin expert administrator, which is awesome. That's been good for us as a company because now we're doing larger and larger customers in 365 enterprise level that we otherwise wouldn't be able to service because of the nuances of Exchange and Active Directory and all these things that we weren't touching before. We were touching small to medium businesses, and now we can work on big boys because we have that expertise in house. And that's only one story. We've been able to use on-the-job training similarly, and then the second program we've used is incumbent worker training. So once we're already engaged and have employees, we're able to get certifications and learning. So for example, I got CCNA myself. I like to stay technical. So this year I did the CCNA certification, and that's good to sort of keep me sharp. But that was subsidized in great part, not fully, but great part by the county. And that allows us now add one more credential under our belt that we have as a company and jobs that we can do. So now when we're doing wiring work, we say, hey, by the way, we'll take care of your switches. We're familiar with Cisco Stack and we can take all of that. So I highly encourage anyone in the audience to not turn away a position just because they think they couldn't get interview because they don't have the qualifications yet. If they're hungry, they want it, they know they could do it, at least utilize the program to try to get that position because it makes it much easier for the employer to bring someone in the door and train them, which is good for them, makes them more marketable as well, and good for the company because it offsets a lot of the cost to get them to where they need to be, where I want them to be in 3 months or 6 months.
Yeah, thank you, because I've been with the WIOA program in various iterations for 26 years. And OJT comes and goes, and this incumbent worker has been probably over the last 5 to 10 years. But what's nice about these programs is the incumbent worker is the government will help the company upgrade the skills, so you don't have to lay people off. We can train you to the latest and greatest certifications. And OJT is great because there's people transitioning. I think the key that you said was that hunger, that passion coming out. And I also tell people, like Hussein, sometimes we pay for the certifications, and then people say, oh, I got a job, but they don't finish the test to be certified. And I always tell people, but that's a selling point to me, to an employer. Hey, listen, I'm taking this training, I'll be certified. I just need whatever time. And people have got hired for that. But I always say, finish the certification, get the certification. Because if something happens, you come back a year or two later, you don't have the certification, whereas before you have it. And
yeah, I think that's a great point. If I can add to that,
yeah.
I understand, especially when you're looking for work, you don't have the money. Certifications aren't free. So
Right.
I've been in this situation a couple of times with candidates where they studied for A+ or Network Plus, and they just didn't get the cert. And I'm thinking, back in my mind as an employer, like, you just didn't have the drive to complete it. And it's not that at all. It's they didn't have an extra few $100s to go take an exam. And it's worth, as a candidate, it's worth bringing that up because then I can set it as part of their 2-month or 3-month plan as they start that will pay for the certification. If you're ready and you're willing, we'll pay for it. But those are great points that people should not be discouraged from applying.
Okay, good. Barry, how about you?
Yeah, just to jump on the comment that Amit just made with certification, for the individuals that are getting certified, the certification plus the experience makes you worth more money in the marketplace. So the certification by itself is great, but the certification plus the experience is the real value. We also have taken advantage of the incumbent training. We recently received the grant for the first half of this year, so we're putting 17 people at our organization through additional training. We had a great success story this week. We hired someone 2 years ago that came from one of these programs. So he was a manager in an auto body shop and had great experience in a different industry. And we hired him at tier 1 level. So we brought him in at the first level. And yesterday he just got promoted to service manager. So in 2 years, he went from knowing nothing about IT to now managing 17 people. So again, for all of you folks out there, the opportunity and the growth is unlimited. It really comes down to, putting in the work and the effort to learn. So we've had great success with WorkNet through Page, and love hiring folks that are ambitious. I noticed, Jim, from some of the chat comments, someone asked about interns. So we also have internship programs, and we also, depending on the situation, we will hire people part-time as well. So if we find the right person, we'll be creative in trying to figure out how to get them on board.
Okay, cool. And Joanne, how about you?
Sure, thanks. I want to chat about the sort of like the certs needed for some of our roles, because they are, considered minimum qualifications. I saw in one of the, questions on chat regarding project, management roles. For, let's say, a senior individual contributor project manager, so we title it senior project manager, the minimum qualifications would include, it's in the job description, would include 5 years of work experience and the CAPM cert, the Certified Associate in Project Management from PMI, if not PMP. So having the PMP cert would be, great, but CAPM would be the minimum qualifications to be considered for the senior PM for IT, and for utilities and generation, we are a little bit more relaxed in terms of the certs. So CAPM or PMP within 2 years of starting employment. So there's a little bit of flexibility for non-IT, but for IT, we are pretty strict.
Okay.
And I also want to echo, Amit and Barry regarding the Office 365, the Azure, just cloud-based technologies, because we in IT we use Microsoft products a lot. Office 365. We have DevOps team that focuses on Azure skills, AWS, Google, etc. So we do have DevOps team. What we outsource typically would be the service desk, like tier 1 and 2, network operations. So we hardly see any of those roles posted because we typically outsource those.
Okay, great. So I noticed some comments in here about technical versus interpersonal skills. But I'd like to start with Hussein about your job search and the interviewing, and how did you present yourself, and if you know what they decided on to make the hiring decision. Was it the certification? Was it your personality? Was it the skills? What was it?
Well, it was definitely the certification in my personality. I didn't have the skills yet, and that was the biggest challenge I ran into. I had the CCNA and the NDAA, but I didn't have the experience. Like it was straight transition from training to IT, right? And that's the one I ran into it because they had, even though it was tier 1, they were looking for 3 to 5 years. So just no experience, but I had the certification and personality. So that was the biggest block I fell into. So what I did for myself now is like, I just got to keep learning. I'm trying to catch up. So now I go to DeVry. I'm trying to add on and build on to that because I feel like I'm playing a catch-up game, you know, from just being behind for so long and just jumping into this field.
Okay. Well, thank you. Joanne, so technical versus interpersonal or soft skills or combination thereof, what do you look for?
Sure, thanks. Combination. But of course, if it's a technical role, the technical skills, have to be there. And in order to compete, for the position, right? So anytime we post an open position, let's say for a skilled, IT role, there could be 60 to 100 applicants. So it's all about, that competition and the fit. So technical skills. And during the interview, that's when you showcase your personality and your soft skills. And we, our interview method, we use the STAR method, the behavior-based STAR method: situation, task, action, and result. So that's when candidates invited to interview can showcase their soft skills as well as their technical skills.
Okay, great, thank you. Barry, you started to touch on this.
Yeah, soft skills. This is a great topic. So, so it's definitely a combination of both, right? If we're hiring for technical positions, the higher the level of the position, the more technical skill and relevant skill you need to have. But from a soft skill perspective, some of the areas that are really important is we need people that have the ability to do some critical thinking. In our world, when problems come up, it's not black and white. You got to really be able to step back and think creatively. So we need critical thinkers. We want people also that are highly adaptable to change. I've been in this space for 35 years, and it seems like every 6 months it's learning all new stuff all over again, right? The world of technology is changing faster than our ability to learn new things. So I want people that can adapt to change really well. The ability to learn. So anyone that comes through and gets their certification, I'm blown away by people that come from other industries and they're able to get their CCNA. So for guys like you, Hussein, that's awesome, man. To go from being a personal trainer to learning routers and networks and protocols, that's pretty impressive, right? So anyone that has the ability to learn that technical stuff can typically do well in an environment. So my belief is if they don't fit into the culture of the company, they will never get hired. So there's a culture fit first. Then we look at their ability to learn and what knowledge do they have with the technology. And then I look for critical thinking and their adaptability to handle change. Because this, I know Amit will smile here, but this business can get a little stressful at times, right? When there's issues. So you got to be able to handle it well and make it through, the challenges we face every day.
Glad to hear you say that. I thought we were doing it wrong, so I'm glad to hear you say that.
No, we're all stressed out dealing with all the change.
Well, look at Hussein and me. We've been stressed out, right?
Yes.
Amit, how about you?
Yeah, I'll take the last part of what Barry said. I mean, really for me, for the lack of soft skill, certainly like you will end up not getting hired because it's ultimately a culture mismatch, and it may not you may not interact with the end clients properly. But I don't think the IT is the reason that you'd rule someone out. Sometimes the right candidate can be found a different position, even if they applied for X. You might want them on the team regardless, and maybe carve out a Y position for them. I think that's more likely. Whereas if they don't have the right customer interaction or the front soft skills, that's so difficult to teach and potentially may never be something that they want to change. So I don't think anyone really has bad soft skills. I think it's a matter of the way that either their interaction with the customer is or how they come off. It will be a better culture fit in one company versus the other. And Barry and I are in very similar. We're in the same industry, very similar types of companies. Yet I'm sure they have excellent fits at their companies that would not be a great fit for us, and we have great fits at our company that wouldn't be for them. And that gets to the culture. So I think as you talk, I think that will be a big part of it, is just making sure it's the right fit.
Okay. I since I've been doing this a while, the consistent comment I hear from job seekers is age discrimination. And, you know, some of the companies that have been laying off, especially in telecom, people have been there 30, 35 years. What recommendations would you say for people if they are thinking of the going into information technology or transferring out of telecom? And then what are the benefits to a mixed workforce, young, old, or mature? And who hasn't gone first? I don't know. Barry, we'll go with you.
Yeah, great.
I like to rotate around. Everyone gets a shot. So.
Yeah. So as an older guy, I like to think that older guys can add value, right? So you know, first and foremost, it's all about diversity of everything: diversity of culture, diversity of personality, diversity of age, everything. We want a diverse culture, and the reason why is because our customers are diverse, right? So we want to be able to have people that understand our customers. What I would say to the folks that are trying to make a career change, and I see a chat from someone who 15 years of preschool teaching. So Vivian put in a comment. So when people come in an interview with me, tell me how you're going to make our company better. Share with me examples of how is your relevant experience, whatever you've done, whether you worked in an auto body shop, whether you're a preschool teacher, whether you were a personal trainer, a truck driver, it doesn't matter. If you've got some relevant life experience, talk to me about how that relevant life experience is going to make me better. Sometimes those are the best people. Hiring someone with 25 years of life experience coming into an environment could be tremendously valuable. So we don't care whether you're young or old, whether you have experience or don't have experience. What we care about is, are you going to help make our company better? And be prepared in an interview to tell me how you're going to make me better proactively. Don't wait for me to ask you. So that's a big one is, and don't, 15 years of preschool teaching, you've dealt with lots of challenges, right? So talk to me about how all those challenges could be relevant to the business environment. I know it is, but it's important for the candidate to be able to tell that story in the interview.
Well, you were talking about customer success earlier, Barry. I would have to say some of the toughest customers are parents of students. And if you could deal with preschoolers or, and parents, you have that going for you, right?
Exactly. And again, what I say to people all the time is, I've been doing this for 35 years. There was a point where I knew nothing. I started with no knowledge, no experience. So it's the same for everybody. You got to start somewhere and focus on what you're excited to do and just get really good at it.
Okay. Amit, how about you?
Yeah, I don't think the age is a barrier. I mean, I've hired in 60s a couple times. It really is, as I think the everyone here has already agreed, it really is just about the want, the tenacity, the outward learning, right? I mean, that's what's got to be out on the table. Say, I'm willing to learn. This is a skill, as you said, Barry and Jim, that here's how I can leverage what I knew or what I've done in the past, and here's how it'll be valuable moving forward in either for this company or in this role specifically. And if you can make that tie, which I'm sure, in almost any job that you've done for more than a year or two, you've created skills and instinct and experience that you can apply to a different position, like you could at our company. And I think that's where the value question is, not in the age. It's the are you willing to apply it, and can you even make those links of how you did something and how will that be applied to what you will do here.
Okay. Joanne?
Yeah, and same thing too. Like we see age as we don't determine, by age, and in fact, we look at experience. Like the more experience, sometimes when we compare the 2 or 3 top final candidates, most of the time, the one with the most experience gets the job. So it's even if the minimum qualifications for a role could be 5 years, or minimum qualifications could be 8 years, but typically when we select the candidate who has done the best, they typically have over 10 years, to 10, maybe even 20 years for the role, including in telecom roles. In Chicagoland, I think we have quite a big project going on with putting in fiber along 30,000 miles of power lines, because now it's the Internet of Things, smart grid, smart meters. So that means the network has to be upgraded, and the telecommunication too. So we have good projects, in telecommunication, and we need good project managers too.
Okay.
And other roles like customer support, customer operations, business analyst, financial planning, data analyst. These are some of the other roles too that have good, career plans and growth and development. So, all these are just, I guess, the universal competency that we look at is yes, a combo of tech skills and the person, the individual, what the individual brings.
Okay. So Hussein, here we are talking about age, but what obstacles did you feel were out there that you had overcome to make your transition? And even today on the job, what are you doing for the future?
Well, I still think my biggest obstacle was the level of skill with the experience that I did not have. I think that was the biggest one. I did have one guy bring up my age a couple of times. I can't say that was the reason I didn't get hired by him, but I still took that up to my skill, because I was still just very new, and it was somebody's taking a risk all the time, with the certification. So I understand that fact. So when I finally found my position with Configure, who I'm with right now, I just learned as much as I can. I was just always in it, just learning. And that's when I like to go to the next level in this, because I really want to get to that network engineering position. I went back to school. I got back into DeVry. I'm doing a networking program right now. So anything I can get my hands on, I just try to get into it. And like I think Barry said earlier, it's changing so fast with everything in IT is changing so fast. So you kind of stay involved with something outside of your job just to stay knowledgeable in this field.
Well, I think that's very true. Is we have a tendency to become complacent, but in the tech field, I had a friend who was a neurosurgeon. He was always going to some sort of training every month because it was changing so much as technology was coming in. He had to upgrade constantly to the latest and greatest surgical techniques. So that you're not sitting back, that you're forward leaning, looking in the future is fantastic. Now, one of the comments in chat was quality assurance. Is that in demand? I don't know. Quality assurance could go under different names, right? Or
right. I'd like to answer that just briefly anyway. We don't have like a QA tester or like that kind of position, nothing specific like that, but hiring managers for software engineering teams let me know that they do look for programmers with good testing experience, because it's not like 100% development. It's also combining development and testing, and also business analysis, talking to clients, understanding what the use cases are, etc. And one of the questions on business analysis, what kind of certs? Don't know if there's any like certs that they require, but exposure, experience with agile development and Scrum, that seems important to hiring managers. So definitely search for these these skills: agile, Scrum, the sprints, etc. for the development.
good. So I got 15 things going through my head because we have such good content here. And one of the things was analytics for career changers. How we probably addressed this, but I'll just throw it out there. They have the certs, but not. Maybe they have the transferable skills. What do you think? I think people need to do a self-assessment, and goes back to Barry, of how are you going to help the company. What would you say? I'll start with Amit. They have the certification. WorkNet has paid for the certification. They've done the career change, but they don't have the experience. How should they present themselves?
I think showing that they're willing to take a maybe slightly junior role can sometimes go a long way. And managers are a different level of role at different companies, depending on the size. But a lot of times being willing to come in as a junior network admin, or maybe more specifically to the skills that you're talking about, maybe someone as a junior programmer, those can be helpful in terms of creating a path. Maybe whether it's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, but a path to become more senior can be really open, because sometimes people will apply and say they need to be a senior manager or come in at a certain level. And that's difficult if they don't have the experience. And I understand that it might be in a different industry. So they have experience and the background in a different industry, but if they're coming new into IT, if they're willing to, not necessarily years, but maybe months, start a little bit more junior and then work up to it, make sure it's a fit at the company, that can go a long way.
Okay. And Barry?
Yeah, I agree with everything Amit said. And, I'll just add to that we hire people based on potential. And, I want people that are hungry. I also want people that are humble, because when you come into this environment and you start working with IT, it's very humbling quickly. So it's all about, if you've got 20 years of experience, show me some maturity, show me some ambition. And to my example earlier, this gentleman that 2 years later, he's managing the team, he worked his tail off for 2 years, just kept learning. So I'm just looking for, I'm looking for that right personality that wants to come in and work.
Okay.
We got a lot of people that come in, they say all the right things, and they're not willing to put in the work.
And Joanne?
Right. So my reminder to everyone is the word competition. So first, I guess, self-assess on your interest. If you're not interested in networking, then, it would be difficult for me to say, to advise or guide, hey, set goals to be certified in CCNA or CCNP or CCIE, right? If you have no interest in networking. So to do some self-assessment, development, because in IT, there's so many different kinds of roles, cybersecurity too. Networking, telecommunications, programming, data analysis, etc. Right? So once you determine your interest, then set goals for both skills and certs to compete in order to be the top 3 final candidates. So I think one of my favorite podcasters had shared like this acronyms FAST. Is it a good fit, a good approach, good skills, and lastly, pretty important, good timing too. And hopefully all the stars aligned. So
Okay.
best wishes.
Yeah. No, it's so important because I've done hiring too, and when I've asked people why they want to work, at WorkNet DuPage or be an intake specialist, anything like that, I had one lady say to me, "Well, my friends say at my age I need a county job." Well, she threw age in, yet she didn't satisfy my need of helping people, right? We're hiring for certain reasons, not because the candidate needs a job. You have a problem that needs to be fixed, and you have to be profitable doing it. We're almost towards the end here.
Jim, if I may, I have a quick suggestion. I think one of the questions was on, like, say, data analytics. If you don't have any work experience with data analytics, use examples from your perhaps even daily life, so that during interview you could have an example of how you use data. Data is all around us, like, how many hours we watch TV per day, or things like that. So put that into an example to showcase your potential, your capability to use data, and data analytics, is used to understand data in order to predict, to forecast for business reasons. So think about it that way, and during interviews, hopefully you would have like good success stories to tell and good examples to show off that skill.
Yeah, we had a person come out of telecom, and she loved data. I mean, she was a project manager, but she loved the data, and we wound up paying for her to go get her data analyst certification. But and I believe this is key because we've all touched on this, her enthusiasm to learn, like Hussein here, I just, in the couple answers she's given, I can pick that up. And I think the employers picked it up with her. She networked her way into a company, but it was her enthusiasm. So I think we need to get rid of, we have a lot of obstacles in our head. I have a friend who says the most dangerous place in the world is between our ears. And we throw obstacles in our way. What I gathered from today is that having the right mindset, looking at how we can add value, how the job seeker, the candidate can add value to your company, is what's going to be important. I'm going to go around and just have each of you give a last word because I know we're on time. But Hussein, I'm going to start with you. What would be your advice for people who are in the program or who are considering getting involved with WorkNet?
I mean, if you're passionate about it, it's very well worth the risk. It's about you and the rest of your life. Not everybody else, not even the job or the employer. It's about what you want to do, what you want to become, and the success that you want to have within your life. So I just went after it with that attitude. I didn't know where I was going to land, but I got certified. Make sure you got to get your certifications. And then from there, I went on probably 20 interviews, man. I probably filled out 100 applications. I didn't fill out some applications. I forgot that I applied for these people that called me sometimes. I mean, so you just got to do more, just do a lot. I mean, and somebody's going to come back to you, and and I was fortunate that this company called me, and I got employed into the field. I love what I'm doing. So with that love for what I'm doing right now, I just continue, make you want to continue to learn. It's motivation, right? So it motivates you to do more because you want to get to another level, and keep growing. Tap into any resource that you have. YouTube, I YouTube everything. Google, you don't know about something, there are programs out there like the WeAll program and other programs that'll help you get certified, or find some guidance, some guidance for you to just to look at something, give you different options. Everything is not for everybody, so you just gotta pick what you want to do and what's passionate about. It's going to keep you moving.
Okay, thank you. Amit?
Yeah, one of the things Hussein actually said, network. Talk to people. You never know who knows whom, and companies like to hire people that know people they know and like. So do not underestimate LinkedIn and just talking to people, then telling them you need a job. It shouldn't be a secret that you're looking for work. It should be out there, and I would say put out there that you're willing to learn. I mean, especially if you're coming from a different industry, just saying that and explaining like what you've learned and what you want to learn can go such a long way.
Okay. Barry?
Yeah, I agree with the previous two comments. I think number one is let the world know you're available. You're looking for work. Don't be afraid. Number two, I'll go back to share some examples of how you can make a company better based on your previous business and life experience. And Hussein pretty much said it very clearly is, you have to put in a lot of work and effort and persevere through all the interviews and the conversations. But it sounds like Hussein, you landed in a great industry and you seem extremely happy doing what you're doing. It's not easy. Just got to work hard and don't get frustrated by the no's. Just keep looking forward to the first yes.
Okay. Joanne, I don't know if you want this to be your last comment. Using STAR, what about technical experience for a PM role?
Sure, yes, thank you.
I think we've covered it, but I'm going to let you.
Sure. Okay. Sure. I mean, I can definitely confirm that at Exelon, we used a STAR behavior-based method for our interview, 60, 90 minutes long, of maybe 6 to 10 STAR-based questions, typically, 6 to 8. So an example of a question: share with us a time when a client of yours needed to change the specs. And this means delaying the timeline, the deadline. How did you manage this expectation? So you got to talk about the situation, the task, the action, and the results. Come up with good examples to talk about your tech and soft skills. Not just on PM roles, for all roles. We do look for. We do look to hear about examples.
Okay.
Right. Hope this helps. Best wishes, everyone.
Well, I want to wrap this up. I want to respect everyone's time here. I really appreciate all of you coming in, sharing your insights. So I just want to get here for the job seekers. Oops, let me back up. For those of you who are have counselors with WorkNet to Page, this is the code CCIT 32621, today's date. It's Career Conversations, Information Technology, today's date. CCIT. Jennifer Javon, if you could put that in the chat room. You do have to make monthly contact with your counselors if we are helping fund your certifications, and this would count for services. Coming up next, April 9th, how to get a state of Illinois job with the Department of Human Services. We've had people ask about those jobs. April 30th, we're going to have a panel discussion again, opportunities in transportation and distribution. May 14th, it's not on here. I've just finalized my last participant. I'm going to have 4 recruiters come in and have a panel discussion on recruiting, their viewpoints. Jennifer is going to do, what do you call it? Job scams, which we've just had some people get nailed with that. So just be careful. I have lined up how to get a federal job in June. So we're going to keep this moving here. There's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of different things different irons in the fire. And let's see if there's anything else. Again, please let us know when you find a job. Congress wants to know if these programs work. So as I mentioned earlier, our funding is based on people getting jobs, what type of positions, the salaries, benefits, and then do they have the job 6 months to a year later? Because it helps Congress, they're inside the beltway there. They have a different perspective on reality than we do on the ground, and our feedback encourages them to fund the program. One of the criteria for WorkNet to Page is, in order for us to keep the grant, we have to make 70% placement every year. People get jobs. In my 26 years, we've made that every year. We also, if we hit 80% of the people getting jobs, we get incentive monies to serve more people. In my 26 years, we have made that every year. So it's a combination of else helping you and you providing us with the feedback that you got the job. I am able to do this today based on people getting jobs in the past. Okay then. Well then, thank you very much, everyone. Panelists, thank you again. From the bottom of my heart, I really enjoyed this conversation. I've learned a lot, and hopefully everyone else did too.